This is crazy, right?
Yeah,
I just moved. Got a wife, got a baby on the way, got a new
Oh, that's right. I think the last time we hadn't announced that you were indeed expecting.
So we got a bunch of new things happening. It just feels like life is moving really fast.
Yeah.
You know? But I feel good, man. How about you? How's your new year going?
New Year's going all right. I also am moving, not quite into a, estate per se.
Villa.
Yeah, but I
Manor.
Yes. But it's a villa somewhat. There's like a moat situation downstairs near the concierge. They got running water and
Castle.
shit. Sensational, man. Sensational. My level up is not at that quite level, but we're moving at not necessarily the same pace, but I've reached the level that you were previously at, and then we're on the way up.
New year, new places for both of us, man.
Right. So
this is the way I look at it. Everyone's like, as long as you're making progress, as long as you're not stopping, you're like, it's inevitable to be somewhere else. So yeah, man, it's cool. But talk more about your place. What made you want to move? Because I know you've been very frugal.
Yeah.
You've been I don't want to say anti, but you've been like, let me not flex on these motherfuckers. But recently, you just got a new place. You signed the contract, signed the deal.
Yes. I got the approval actually yesterday, right? So then I got the approval yesterday. I had to, level up. Because the one thing they always say is, like, if you introduce a big idea to a small mind, they'll never be able to understand. But I've always had somewhat. Yeah, so if you introduce a big idea to a small mind, it's never going to be able to register in their head. So with that being the case, I've always been somebody who has a big mind, big goals. Yeah. So if that's the case, I'm going to have to level up. And then I started doing a little bit of research on people who are at the top and people who are ascending. You can't be in a situation, if your goal is $100,000 a month, which would make you a millionaire, you can't expect to only have expenses that is about like $2,000, $3,000. There's no way. So if you want to play the game, you got to play at a higher level. Facts. And the best way to do that is you got to level up where you're sleeping at night.
Well, I tell people all the time, because there's a big thing that goes on the internet. It's like, whenever I flex anything, they're like, a real millionaire wouldn't do that. It's like, because they're not real fucking millionaires. 100%. You're talking about these these millionaires that take 70 years to become a millionaire. Like, they buy a house in the 20s or the 30s, or maybe the 40s. They buy a house in the 40s for like $100, and now it's worth $1 million.
Right.
Like, that's how they became millionaires. That's why they're living so frugally. But when I talk millionaires, I'm talking people that make $100,000 a month.
Right.
And I can tell you from experience, like, most of the time, these people that say, oh, I make $1 million, but I just don't show it, full of shit.
And I think we had talked about it prior, but then my biggest thing is like, all right, when you categorize yourself as a millionaire, because essentially million is only, it's only if you're like net worth. Like if you have the net worth of $1 million, then you're a millionaire. So if you're somebody whose house is, you have assets that now is worth over $1 million, you're a millionaire. But what's your active income? Exactly. If I'm somebody who's making quarter, mil per month, I'm really a millionaire. If I'm somebody who's making that $100K a month, you're really a millionaire, so because each year you're actually accumulating $1 million.
When I look at a millionaire, this is what I think. If you were to lose everything that you worked for, how fast would you become a millionaire given your active income? So let's say you're making 70 grand a year, right? But you're a millionaire. If you lose everything, it would take you 20 years to become a millionaire again. You're not really a millionaire. Right. So like I look at millionaire as like, if you can become a millionaire again in 2-3 years, you're an actual millionaire. Yeah. You look at any of these guys that have the crazy active incomes, right? They file bankruptcy, they lose it all, and then fucking a year later they're millionaires again. That's kind of what I define millionaire as.
Yeah, I do too, because I have a rule of 3 where if you do something and it's predictable 3 years, then you can say you're that. So if somebody, whenever they say, oh, I make 6 figures or whatever, if you did it 3 years consecutively, all right, you're a 6-figure earner. But if you're somebody who just had a great year and you've never been able to replicate that, you can't say that's the case. Because there's a ton of people who have made, like, let's just say you have a great year. Coming out of the pandemic in 2020, shit ton of people made money, right? Yeah. And then there was people who's making $500,000. There's people who made $1 million, a bunch of like these gurus, whatever the case may be. They had shit ton of bread. But then 2021, 2022 came, you may have made $500,000 in 2020, probably made $250,000 in 2021, and then now you're at 40,000. You're at 50,000. It's not predictable because you just had a great boom, and then you were just on the downswing. You were still able to bring in money.
It's the equivalent of someone like a one-hit wonder. Right. These people that catch like instant fame and then they can't follow up on it. So I think longevity plays a big part of it. That's like when you look at any entrepreneur, like real entrepreneur, it's not because they caught a boom and then like they just coasted. It's because they have predictable, consistent. Drake drops an album, you know exactly what you're gonna get. Right. Fucking Kevin Durant plays a basketball game, you know what you're gonna get. Like that predictability, that consistency, That's kind of what makes somebody a millionaire.
Yeah, and then while I was studying, to bring that back to, you know, why I decided to make the move, was I would look at these individuals like, all right, cool. If you're somebody who's earning $1 million, how much are you spending per month?
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you're somebody whose expenses is the same as the income, then you're just batting even at that point. Like you're not, you may have made $1 million, but you spent $1 million to make the $1 million, and now you have nothing. But if they're spending, let's just say about 25, 30, 40% in order to get, you know, that 60% on the back end, well, I think something like that would be worth it. And then you kind of just figure out how you would, you know, lower the expenses as you start to elevate. But I say all that to say, had to do, you know, the move. And then also you want to have a spot to where you feel comfortable inviting, you know, people, because you never know who you'll meet. And I think one of the coolest things that I experienced last year was anytime I would go, and I traveled like a motherfucker last year, anywhere I would go, after whatever venue that we went to, party, whatever the case was, we would have like an after party at somebody's house. So whether it's your house, whether it's your apartment, and you go in there and you feel like you're somewhere worth going to. I'm like, you know what? I need one of those. Let me go get myself a building that has like a 24-hour concierge. Let me go get some spot where they got a conference room and all that other stuff.
The craziest part about that, right? Like, I haven't seen your place yet. I want to see pictures, actually. Maybe show me after. But in a high rise like that, especially something like yours, to the average human, it's mind blowing. At least to me, it was. I remember the first time I came to Miami. I was probably making 20, 30 grand a month, but it was the first time I came to Miami. I had seen all of these high rises. And this guy, we ended up going to like this guy's high rise. I had met him. He was like, yo, come. Invited a bunch of people. We go there. And really average place. It's about the size of like my living room, right? It was an apartment, size of my living room, but I thought it was the sickest thing. I was like, bro, this is so sick, because I was the average human being.
Right.
So I'm like, this is amazing. How much do you pay for this? He was like, I pay $4 grand a month. I'm like, holy shit, like, it's crazy. So anything like high rise, right? Especially yours, because you have a bigger one, it's gonna blow people away. They're gonna be like, oh, this is sick.
Right.
You know, it fits you. And it elevates you above the average human being.